So I've been wanting to get a Smiling Friends episode off since the near end of the first season because it's the first time in a while I came away from an Adult Swim show early on thinking, oh, okay, there's more here than just the premise and the gags being exactly funny enough that they've got an angle, and just wanted to look at that, especially since anytime I'd bring it up, there was this mild pushback of, yeah, you know, but the creators, because they've been around a while, because of some of the specific sense of humor, there's some connections with parts of the web that don't specifically care for me either, and this and that, and, you know, look, guys, that doesn't really matter that much to me in this context. Like, I'm right on board with if you cross me personally or someone I care about, you go on the list, but otherwise, if I only ever watched or enjoyed or admitted to enjoying things made by people I agree with or liked or agreed with me about every single fucking thing, I'd never watch anything. And so, yeah, it's a funny show. I don't, in fact, know Michael Cusack and Zach Adel personally. I have no idea if they even know who I am, what they think. It doesn't matter. I don't know everyone they know. That would be absurd. Not everyone who you think lives in your computer knows each other. I mean, come on.
Hey, what do you know? It's a cowboy version of me.
Jeez, you're easy to impress.
And on top of that, it's honestly kind of reductive to what the show and its animators are doing with mixed media to just call this, like, Wojak meme humor the series, and, you know, just because that type of meme joke came to be associated mainly with the worst parts of 4chan and Reddit chuds doesn't mean everyone who ever did gags in that style is that, so, like, guys, touch the grass, seriously. I think the show's funny. I don't care about the rest of it. It's a funny show, made by funny people, it has cameos from a lot of other funny people. That's the end of it for me thus far. Anyway, I thought the show was funny, and that people were kind of missing out on it being more than just gags and randomness funny, because the creators keep saying there isn't anything more to it, because not trying to propagandize for some bigger issue or philosophy isn't the same thing as not being about anything. Everything with a narrative is about something, otherwise nobody connects with it, and clearly people connected with this more than other silly just-for-fun shows that didn't catch on over the years. I mean, they did a parody of a gag show about nothing in the show, just like South Park did early on. Use your heads, guys.
I'm Mr. Frog. This is my show. I ate the bug. I ate the bug. This is the end. I love you.
But yeah, I didn't do it back then because other stuff came first and it got renewed, so there was going to be more time for that anyway, and when it came back on April Fool's and then teased out a new episode, it turns out I was right to wait because this thing blew up in a totally unexpected way.
Oh my gosh, you're Gwimbly. I played your games as a little tadpole. We're the Smiling Friends. We can help you.
I don't need your help. I'm doing my own thing now and I'm thriving. But I can do my iconic Gwimbly victory dance for only $5. I take Venmo.
No.
Okay, I guess just this once I can do it for nothing. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, so if you've been online for over the last month, you've probably seen Gwimbly, a parody of late 90s, early 2000s 3D video game mascot characters just blowing up as a meme, and yeah, this is where he comes from, a so far one-off guest character from the first episode of the second season of Smiling Friends. And just to catch us all up, Smiling Friends' rough premise is about a non-profit charity operation whose agents are hired to make people smile, the main characters being a pink guy named Pim, who's enthusiastic and idealistic about his job, and a yellow guy named Charlie, who's more downbeat and cynical, and that's pretty much the show.
Hey, little buddy, how are you doing?
Oh my god!
Whoa, whoa,
Oh my
whoa,
God.
whoa, whoa,
Oh my God.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hello. Pim, can I talk to you for a second? I know it's our job to help this guy and everything, but I think this guy's a lost cause.
In the episode, Gwimbly appears as a parody of a down-and-out has-been celebrity, apparently homeless, who then turns up being shooed off the Smiling Friends front walk by the main third employee, Alan, the designated kind of a jerk character. The gist of the episode's main plot is this time it's Pim and Alan, reluctantly instead of Charlie, who team up and try to help Gwimbly get back on his feet by possibly reviving his cancelled game series. It doesn't go well, as we learn the game company no longer wants him, as they make different modern games now. The character who was his nemesis is retired and doesn't want to do it anymore, his sidekick has died in the intervening years, etc. There's ultimately a resolution where things all come together and work out happily in an almost too convenient way, because that's generally how the joke within a joke structure of Smiling Friends plays out. But here's the thing, the actual episode doesn't do a lot of jokes at Gwimbly's expense. All the subtle references to the graphics and gameplay and generic design elements of N64 to PSX-era 3D mascot platformers are there in the dialogue and details, but it's much less a spoof than an acknowledgement. The satire here is almost all presentational. The rest is played as basically a straightforward story, with the humor coming from how bizarre and over-the-top the characters normally act in the Smiling Friends universe. Otherwise, everything about Gwimbly is just sad. Really, really sad.
I am so sorry, Gwimbly.
It's just wrong, man.
Hey,
whoa, whoa,
sit
hey,
down,
hey,
sit
hey,
down,
hey,
sit
hey,
down.
uh,
You're good,
Gwimbly,
you're
you
good.
right?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I look the exact same now, but you know what I mean.
I see your solo career is going successfully.
Oh, I swear to God, if I had my Gwimbly gun on me right now!
Oh my gosh.
Don't look at that. Don't look at that. I'm gonna say what nobody else is willing to say. America has a fentanyl crisis.
And it makes a lot of specific choices to hammer home how bad we're meant to feel for him as opposed to laughing at him, which is important for a series that generally has no problem going for the darkest joke when it comes to characters who are in a bad place psychologically.
Look, I told you, man, you need to get over her, okay? There's plenty more fish in the sea.
How do I look, yellow man?
You look like you're about to tell your friend not to come to school tomorrow, man.
And it's not like Gwimbly is the first time anyone in animation or web animation has tried to get humor or pathos out of specifically picking at the scab of forgotten Mario 64 wannabe platform one-offs that just didn't click but also defined a whole generation of gaming nostalgia. It's just the first time people really responded and went, yes, that's my memory of that time, I miss that, or I understand missing that, I get it. The idea of this character connects with me emotionally.
He formed an essential part of my childhood. I hate to see him like this.
These bastards didn't appreciate me for years.
Don't be silly, Gwimbly. Look.
Wow, I haven't seen that in a long time.
And I think the reason is in the presentation, not just Gwimbly himself, but the way the other characters react to him. Making this a Pim and Alan episode was genius, because Alan brings a different energy to what's otherwise a standard Smiling Friends setup. He's the character who really doesn't care, but also we don't see him do this all the time like we do with Charlie. So he's out of whatever his comfort zone would be, and the way he's just not used to how not easy it is to get things to work out clearly starts to bother him as this goes on. I mean, look at the shot framing when they go into the game company for the first time to try and get Gwimbly rehired. He's away from the others in the background, looking at the monitors, checking things out, almost inspecting it. Remember, he's the one who didn't know who Gwimbly was at the start of this. So the whole arc of this story, who this person with them was, where he's fallen to, who's responsible, is new information for him. And his fresh response when they meet the CEO is interesting in that context.
Kiss my nugget.
I hate this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, no, stop. No.
Alan isn't one of the nicer characters. In Season 1, he joined up with the Frowning Friends right away. He's grumpy, he's always out of patience, he's the jerk, kind of, but this guy, he immediately knows is a special kind of bad. He immediately dislikes him. And I'd be remiss to point out the actual lack of even a hint of a punchline at the scene at Mr. Millipede's grave.
Mr. Millipede was like a damn brother to me.
I mean, never mind that it just keeps going without a joke to cut to. Beloved Uncle being the only inscription on a tombstone is some A+, how do you tell a whole sad story with minimal text writing? You know, communicate that someone had family, but almost no one in it who could even bother to make arrangements in a single shot. I mean, fuck, that is dark.
Ew, ew, ew.
But I think that's partly the reason why this parody of 2000's retro games clicked where others hadn't before. Retro gaming and nostalgia culture as aesthetic movements basically started in the late boomer, early Gen X eras of Atari, Nintendo Generation, Pixel, and Vaporwave and just stayed there for a long time, even by nostalgia trend standards, and especially now with the urge of post-COVID to revive the immediately preceding and pre-2010s and Obama-era early internet pop culture, with Smiling Friends being clearly a part of that. There's a sense that anyone who did have real affection for that intermediary age when the likes of Blinks, Banjo, Klonoa, Gex, Rascal, Glover, Croc, and the rest of them will never really get their, hey, some of this was cool and good actually too, revival moment. You know, there's a chance that it becomes one of those cultural moments in time that just gets overlooked because more popular, longer-lasting things happened on the other ends of it.
I'm afraid to say it's not 1998 anymore. These days it's not about collected cans of creamed corn and childish platforming. Now it's all DLC and microtransactions and fuck you!
And in a certain sense, this Gwimbly story, without even putting a big neon sign over it, maybe without even intending to, ends up connecting that vibe to the generational angst that people in that nostalgia age cohort are often feeling today in their own lives, stuck between the boomers and the millennials, just beyond the latter as these massive, oversized generations with all the spending and demographic power getting all the attention and opportunity, while they feel thrown aside, scraping by in a world that forgets they were ever there, looking at a world getting worse and media getting shittier and shittier, silently screaming inside that they were supposed to be more than this.
Wow, I haven't seen that in a long time. I sure looked cool back then.
That made water come out my eyes.
Yeah, gee, wonder why that suddenly hit people so close to home, to the extent that it would spontaneously generate piles of memes and fan art, much of which isn't about joining in on the joke, but instead imagining the hypothetical earlier, happier versions of what this character might have been. Other Gwimbly games, animated shows, commercials, the different ephemera people remember from the things in the time that it reminds them of. And it's appropriate to the way the actual episode places the happy ending for Gwimbly and Troglor as not some grand unifying artistic statement or victory for one era or aesthetic over another, but basically Smash Brothers or multi Multiversus, a mascot party fighting game that apparently even Alan likes, as if to let the last word on whatever surface-level games industry commentary was happening here be, yeah, eventually everything that's anything becomes a piece of generational pop media soup for fans to just recognize and play around with for laughs and memories, and that's okay. That's good, actually. It's not a message, really, but it's a meaning, if not necessarily a deep one.
Is this a happy ending or a sad ending?
It's an ending. That's enough.
It's a truth, and it feels like the level of meaning and truth that the series is most comfortable playing to that I detected back in Season 1 that made me go, okay, there is more going on here, whether they necessarily want to shout it out louder or not, which, surprise, surprise, was the penultimate Frowning Friends episode mentioned before. In that one, as I imagine the title implies, the team finds themselves competing with a rival, evil, bizarro doppelganger business that's basically all about getting to their would-be clients first and telling them they're right to be depressed, sad, down, whatever, and should just go on being more sad because life has no point.
3D Squelton just doesn't see a point in living anymore. What's the point? Oh, boo-hoo-hoo!
Is there anything that does make you feel better, 3D Squelton?
3D Squelton likes balloons.
But did you know that all of Earth's helium is running out and will be completely depleted within 15 to 20 years?
Is that actually true?
So they're nihilists, basically, and it catches on to the point where the Smiling Friends go almost out of business because, actually, you don't need to fix your life because things suck everywhere anyway and you were right to be a miserable asshole is always a surprisingly popular sales pitch, until Smiling Friends' boss opts to put their ideology to a test.
Nothing matters because we're all gonna die someday! Hey! No, please don't kill me, please don't, no, I don't wanna die, please don't kill me, please don't.
Wait a minute, man. They don't, think nothing matters at all, man.
3D Squelton hates lies! Boo-hoo!
Because nihilists are actually just cowards and full of shit. If life has no meaning, why would you be afraid to lose yours? But it's actually the scene before this where I think they sneak in the actually we're being smarter about this than we're letting on, given this is a profoundly internet culture-based show and the Frowning Friends are a perfect distillation of extremely online guy version of nihilism, specifically. See, right before Mr. Boss gets the drop on him, Grimm accidentally lets the mask slip during his big speech, and shocker,
Everyone will embrace sadness, and there'll be no such thing as smiling! And once that's done, we can finally eradicate all the Puerto Ricans on the planet!
What did he say? What?
I mean, make everyone on the planet frown!
his ideology is a fake cover to get you to go along with an even worse thing like racism or bigotry, etc. once the hooks are in, because that's how that shit always works, and that's what these guys always turn out to be. The I'm just being dark for fun man to, the Daily Wire has a good point actually pipeline theory remains basically undefeated, especially on the internet. In other words, surprise surprise, random just for fun silliness or not, it was probably always a mistake for anyone to assume that a cartoon all about characters with a job of showing people that actually your life is not meaningless is actually not without meaning itself, at least when it wants to be. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.